Oh yeah, it is a Friday edition. Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Friday, the 13th of January. Ooh, Friday the 13th. Very, very spooky. That's so creepy. Good to have you aboard here. However you listen to the program, make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff. Love having you on as we finish up another great week. We march toward the weekend. Super wild card weekend. We could not get the double dip last night. We got one of them. One of our teams cashed in. We know the team that didn't, all right? We're going to start off the show. We're going to get into some Heat stuff here, and then we got to get to the Dolphins. We got a fun show planned today, all right? Really good work by everybody involved in putting together a great Friday program for all of the faithful ZASLOW Show 2.0 listeners. Of course, ZASLOW Show 2.0 always presented by our title sponsor from day number one, Anidjar and Levine, Accident Attorneys. If you're dealing with a personal injury, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. You make sure that you're safe, and then you get an attorney on the phone right away. And they're going to get you the money that you deserve while you get healthy and you take care of yourself. So appreciate Anidjar and Levine, their title sponsors of ZASLOW Show 2.0. Before we get to the Heat, so last night, all right, so we got the Heat game last night at 7:30, and then you got the Panthers at 10 o'clock. If you stayed up for some late night with the Cats, God bless you. I couldn't make it. The score was 2-2 with about 7 minutes left in the game. I couldn't keep my eyes open. So I decided, all right, I'm going to hit the record button, and I'll just watch it when I get up in the morning, okay? And luckily for me, and I was already annoyed because the Panthers were playing really, really well. And then they give up the game-tying goal, which you knew was coming. Vegas, really good team. They give up the game-tying goal. It's like they're definitely going to lose this game. And I'm glad that when I woke up this morning, first thing I did when I woke up, put the TV on, go to the library on my DVR. I'm going to put on, and because it went over the time, I click on what I thought was the Panther game, but it wasn't. It was really the post-game show. And so right when I put it on, it said 4-2 final. Knights beat Panthers. So that was annoying, but I was glad that I didn't have to sit through that and wait for the Knights to score the game-winning goal with 2.5 minutes left. A little bit controversial. Could have been a penalty. Was there goalie interference? The Panthers challenge. They obviously lose, and then they give up a goal at the very end there. I would assume because they got penalized, because they challenged, they lost the challenge. Panthers lose a game 4-2. That they went into the third period and had the lead for most of the third period, and they wind up losing there. They had a goal that was taken away off and offside. It was the right call. Could have been up 3-1, but the Panthers, in a game that they played really well for the most part, they still managed to lose, and they ruined your night if you ended up staying up late last night, a little late night with the Cats. But the Heat last night, yes, the Heat, they did exactly what you want them to do. Now, before I get to the Heat, I do want to tell you, so last night after the Heat game, and this is like in between, I think it was maybe intermission of the Panther game. Yeah, so the Panthers are on. It's intermission, so, I'm going to switch through to something for the next 18 minutes. That's how long intermission lasts. And, everyone's got the movies that if they pass by it on television, you got to stop on it. Everyone has those movies. For me, one of those movies, The Fugitive. The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. If that movie's on, I'll stop on it. Doesn't matter what part of the movie. I'll stop. I'll watch The Fugitive. Everyone's got a few movies like that. Well, another movie like that for me is The Town. The Town with Ben Affleck, Jeremy Renner, John Hamm, Blake Lively. I can go through the whole cast, but we'll be here for a while, all right? You know the movie I'm talking about, The Town. And so I'll stop on The Town almost every time. But the movie is not the same for me if when I stop on The Town, if I don't catch the scene. Everybody knows the scene. Everybody knows the best scene in that movie, and it's not even long. It's not a long scene. You know the scene that I'm talking about. Who's Kyle taking? You know what I'm talking about. So, and I happen to catch the scene. Ben Affleck's character, he's following around the woman who they took hostage to make sure that she doesn't recognize them. She doesn't know who they are. She's not working with the FBI or what have you. And then, of course, he ends up falling for her. They're dating or what have you. But, at the end of the first date, right? she's talking about how, like she was walking around the neighborhood and outside one of these projects, like outside one of these really bad neighborhoods, they were throwing beer cans at her. It's like, they're throwing beer cans at you? A terrible Boston accent that I'm doing. He does a great one. I mean, he's from there. He goes, remember what they look like? And what a bad Boston accent. Anyway, you get it. So she tells them, it was from that building, whatever. And I guess she does remember what they look like. And he knows everyone in the neighborhood. I mean, he's a big-time tough guy. It's like, all right, I guess you just have to go the other way, And so you could see he is steaming hot mad, all right, because this girl that he likes now was treated this way, who he's only been on one date so far with. And then you know the scene. So right after that, he then goes to his buddy's apartment, to Jeremy Renner's apartment, Jem. He goes to his apartment, and this guy's a lunatic. And here's the scene.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Everyone knows the scene. Like, that's the best friend you can... Whose car we taking? That's the best friend you could possibly have. It's short, and it's such a good scene. Like, everyone knows that scene from the town. And I gotta tell you, while, like, if you were to ask them, what's the greatest movies, like, all-time famous movie scenes? Like, the one at least, like, this generation, the last 20, 25 years. If I say, what's the most famous movie scene, movie line, you think about Taken. Taken's the one. I have a specific, if you're looking for money, I don't have any, but I have a specific set of skills. Like, that's the scene, right? Good luck. Everyone knows the scene, Liam Neeson from Taken. I really think that scene from the town, whose car we taking? I think it's right behind it. I do. I think it's right there. Hit me up at ZASLOW Show on Twitter. Also at ZASLOWJ on Instagram, where I'm an influencer. But at ZASLOW Show on Twitter. The last generation, most famous movie scenes or most famous movie lines. Am I on point there? Because number one, I think it's Taken. But I think that scene right there from the town is right behind it. Whose car we taking? What a scene. What a great friend. I mean, he's a lunatic, but what a great friend. That movie's awesome, by the way, The Town. If you've never seen it, come on, what's the matter with you? I love those movies, those movies that are set in Boston. The Town, Gone Baby Gone, which stars Ben Affleck's brother Casey Affleck. Gone Baby Gone, and Michelle Monaghan, Morgan Freeman. Gone Baby Gone's a great movie too. So anyway, if you've never seen The Town, that's a great movie. So I got to catch that scene, one of my all-time favorite scenes, right after the Heat game last night. Here's what we got coming up on the show today. Let me get the Heat out of the way here, and then we're going to get to the Dolphins, because Ruthie Polinsky, NBC6, our pal, is going to join us. She'll come on the show, and we'll talk some Dolphins. She's going to be in Buffalo this weekend. And how about this? Very excited to talk to my guy, Robbie Ramos. Miami guy who is now, he is on his way in Hollywood. Robbie Ramos, one of the stars of one of my favorite shows, Heels, on Stars, all right? When is season 2 start? Season 1 was over a year ago. When is season 2 starting up? Heels on Stars. Stephen Amell, Mary McCormick, fantastic show, all right? That's the show where, it's an indie wrestling company. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to like this show. It's kind of like the show Glow on Netflix, where starring, I think her name was Allison Brie, right? And Mark Maron. It's like the show Glow on Netflix, which it's a wrestling, like it centers around the girls, the glamorous ladies of wrestling, but it's not about wrestling. So my wife loved the show. We loved Glow. She hates wrestling. This is kind of like that, Heels, where, yeah, it's wrestling, but it's not about wrestling. It's about, these two, it's about the family business, this indie wrestling company, a small, podunk town, and, the brother is trying to carry on the legacy of the father's wrestling promotion, and anyway, it's a great show. And one of the wrestlers, Diego Cottonmouth, who's like a Mexican luchador, and he wears the mask. The thing is, though, Mexican luchadors, they're usually like $150. Well, Diego Cottonmouth, played by our pal Robbie Ramos, he ain't $150, all right? And he is awesome in the show. He's excellent, and he was so good in the show that they promoted him to series regular. So got to find out what's going on with season 2. When's it coming out? I love this show. It is a great, great show. So Robbie, who is also, huge sports fan, and he told me in the past, he's this, I don't remember how we got to know each other. I think maybe he heard me on ZASLOW Show talk about heels when it was on, and he may have reached out on Twitter or something, and it's like, yo, ZASLOW, I'm a big fan of the show. It's like, oh, it's amazing. So we had him on the show, on ZASLOW Show, but now we'll be able to see him face to face. The interviews go now with Zoom, and so we'll really be able to sit down with Robbie. So Robbie Ramos will join us coming up on the show. He's a huge Miami sports fan. We'll talk to him about the Dolphins as well. But we got to find out when's Heels coming back, all right? So we'll get him on the show. Before we get to the Dolphins here, the Heat last night. The Heat beat the Bucks 108-102. Good win for the Heat. Now, everyone sat out for the Bucks, all right? The big name is Giannis. Giannis sat out. Everyone sat out for the Bucks. The Heat were minus Tyler Hero. They were without Kyle Lowry, but who cares? And they were shorthanded. They only had 8 available players last night. You got a great game from Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent got the start there last night in place of Tyler Hero. Gabe had 28 points, which I think ties a career high. He had 28 points, 6 assists. He was 10 of 17, 5 for 11 from 3. Bam had 24 points and 12 rebounds. That's the part that I like the most is, Jimmy gave them 17 points and 11 rebounds. How about this? In a game that the Heat were shorthanded, no Tyler Hero, the Heat were able to beat the Bucks, and granted, shorthanded Bucks. So just the Heat were able to get a win, shorthanded, without Jimmy Butler being the main guy. That's huge. That's a great sign. Gabe Vincent, who was had a rough season, had a great game last night. Bam Adebayo did his thing. We know that, Bam's not turned the corner. Bam has taken the next step. Yeah. And Jimmy had 17 points and 11 rebounds, and off the bench, Victor Oladipo. I'm telling you, I think he's back. Now, when I say I think he's back, like last night he had 14 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. When I say that Victor Oladipo's back, he's not going to be putting up those all-star numbers he did in Indiana because his role's different. He was the number 1 guy in Indiana. Well, he's a 6th man here in Miami. And if all things are equal, 4th option, behind Jimmy, Bam, Tyler. So he's not going to put up those numbers. Now, once in a while, a couple games ago, you'll get the 26-point game from Victor Oladipo. But you're not going to get those numbers from Victor Oladipo. He's not going to be that guy, all-star form. But I think he's back. And that's a very big deal for the Heat moving forward. So the Heat win last night 108-102 against a Bucks team that was essentially sitting their guys. It was the second night of a back-to-back for them. And the game was tied at halftime, 45-all. I think the Heat had 16 points in the first quarter. They struggled offensively, but then they really beat them down in the second half. The final score not indicative. The Heat game was never in doubt. They were up by 12, really, for most of the fourth quarter. They end up holding on. They win by 6. But that's what they should do. That's why I think last night was a good sign, because you're shorthanded, but against a very shorthanded Bucks team, all right, the game was tight, and then you pulled away in the second half. That's what you should do. That's what a good team would do. I do believe that the Heat are trending up. I think they're headed in the right direction. Now, tomorrow's a huge test. I said with these 2 games, asking for, a 2-game sweep there with the home and home games against Milwaukee, that's a lot to ask for. Well, it's not a lot to ask for anymore, because the first game that they won last night, the Bucks were without all their guys. So now it's kind of, it's not like, all right, you're going to get one, they're going to get one, or they're going to get one, you're going to get one. All right, they're going to play all their guys tomorrow afternoon. It's a national game. It's on ABC. Your boy's going. I was trying to go, and I'm going. I'm taking the whole family. I'm going to a Heat game tomorrow with my entire family for the first time ever. I've never been to a game with my entire family. Think about that. We're going to have a great time. So tomorrow, they're going to face a full Bucks team. So the expectation now changes, where it's like, if they beat a full Bucks team last night, all right, it's a lot to ask them to win that game tomorrow now also. But they didn't face that Bucks team last night. Now they're facing the Bucks tomorrow, presumably with Giannis ready to go. I don't know what Tyler Hero's status is. Congrats there. He and his girlfriend, they had another child. They had a baby boy. You hope Tyler's ready. Don't really care about Lowry returning. Gabe Vincent gave you a whole hell of a lot more last night than Kyle Lowry's ever going to give you. But now tomorrow becomes a really big test for the Heat. And I like where they're at, So Can you get both? 23-20 on the year. I think they're a game back of number 6. They're right now in the play-in scenario. I think they're a game back of New York, number 6. So I love the way the Heat have played lately. Even the loss against Brooklyn, the win the other night against Oklahoma City, and last night against Milwaukee, just doing what they got to do. I think for the most part, they're playing pretty well. So excellent job there by Miami. The Panthers, of course, they ruined it. If you stayed up for the end of the Panther game, they ruined it. Let's get to the Dolphins here. Poll question of the day. ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question is, and it's very controversial. Go to @ZASLOW Show on Twitter. You go check that out. Today's poll question, ZASLOW Show 2.0. Does it feel like the Miami Dolphins are in the playoffs? And here are your answers. Of course, so excited. Nope, dreading the game. You guys are out there voting early and often. Get out there @ZASLOW Show and vote. And the leader right now you're listening to this in the future, but right now, the leader in the polls with 73% of the vote is nope, dreading the game. And I don't see any other way to look at it. I told you, we are marching toward a slow death this Sunday. You listen to anyone talk about the Dolphins this weekend. Like, this is the least interesting game for anyone. And by the way, of course, you got big game, not a big game coming up today. But if you look at Super Wild Card Weekend, if you had to miss one game, this is the game that everyone's, Sunday, 1 p.m. Let me get a few errands out of the way. Bed Bath & Beyond, Home Depot. I don't know what else I got time for, but, maybe we'll get it out of the way. Now, it's not me. I'm going to be dialed into the game. I'm going to be watching the game at Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach, all right? World's greatest upscale dive bar. So if you want to come join me on Sunday, come out to the Briny. I'm going to be there for the Dolphins. I'm going to be there to watch that massacre. But I got the good food. You got fish and chips. You got mahi tacos. You got I love the shepherd's pie there. Briny Irish Pub, great food, cold beers, drafts on tap, and you got live music every night, 7 nights a week. So come on out and join me at the Briny, 1 p.m. for the Dolphins on Sunday. They got the NFL Sunday ticket, but it doesn't matter. All the playoff games are on anyway. So come on out this Sunday, 1 p.m. Hang out at the Briny with me. You take Atlantic Boulevard all the way down to the ocean, but don't park in the ocean. Park behind the Briny where it's free parking. They will validate your tag. So park behind the Briny. You don't have to pay for parking. They will take care of you. Briny Irish Pub this Sunday. Come join me. World's greatest upscale dive bar. There you have it. The game this weekend, here's the thing. Obviously, I don't have to go through again the whole, we're having such a good season and now it's going to end like shit. We're going to feel terrible after the game. I don't have to go through all that. Been doing that the whole week, all right? There's nothing else to say about that. But the part that's such a bummer is not just that part, but we're playing Buffalo. And I've told you, when I was a kid, it wasn't the Jets. It certainly wasn't the Patriots. Buffalo was the rivalry. Brian Cox walking out there into Rich Stadium with the middle fingers raised high. You mother effers, I hate you guys. You're wearing the F Buffalo shirts when they were coming down here. When I was a kid, if I can go to one game for the year, Dad, can you get tickets for the Bills game? That was always the one game. Marino, Kelly, that was always the game. Matter of fact, the last Dolphin playoff game I went to, Dolphins-Bills. Now, it's not the last one they won. It's actually, the last one they won was the Lamar Smith game in 2000 against the Colts. The year before that, 1999, maybe it was 98, one or the other. Dolphins-Bills, Marino, Flutie. That was the Trace Armstrong game where Trace Armstrong, Flutie on the goal line. Last play of the game, Dolphins are up by 4, and Trace Armstrong gets the strip sack. Dolphins recover it, game over. Dolphins win the wild card game. That's the last playoff game I've been to. So we're talking like 24 years ago, 25 years ago, last one I've been to. Dolphins-Bills, that was the matchup for me as a kid. And we're finally getting it again. That was the last time they played in the playoffs. We're talking 25 years ago. But we're not really getting it. We're not. There's nothing you've seen from Skylar Thompson. He's a rookie quarterback. There's nothing you've seen from Skylar Thompson as recently as last week that's going to tell you they got a shot. And it's not just about Skylar Thompson. Mostert, Chubb. It's about all these other guys who are hurt as well. It's just we're marching toward the inevitable. we're going to get smoked on Sunday afternoon. I'm still going to Briny. I might as well get some drinks in my belly, all right, while we're getting our ass kicked. I will say, if the Dolphins have any chance, I'm not even going to go the route, oh, the defense needs to ball out. They need to go balls to the wall. I'm not even doing that. Skylar Thompson has to take chances downfield. He's got to take the chances downfield that he did not take last week. He clearly did not trust what he was seeing last week. The one time that he attempted to go downfield, he was looking for Tyreek Hill on the flag route, and his arm got hit, and it ended up being a duck, which was caught for 32 yards by Mike Gesicki. Really lucky. That was the one time that he tried to go deep. They got to take shots deep. He's got to trust what he's seeing out there. He clearly did not trust what he was seeing last week. That's the only way they win this game this weekend, is if it's a shootout. Which is crazy to say, right? That, oh, with Skylar Thompson, you'd have to win a shootout. It's the only way to win. Yeah, I actually think that's the only way that they're going to win, because the defense is not going to be holding Josh Allen. This defense, they're not going to be holding the Bills to like 17 points. You're not going to win a game 20-17. The Bills are going to score a lot more than that. Like, the only way the Dolphins are going to win, and it's crazy it sounds crazy, it's got to be a shootout. They're going to have to go deep. They're going to have to get huge games from their receivers. I really think that's the only way the Dolphins have a chance in this game, is if they're going deep, they're taking huge chances, they're throwing just bombs away, man. It's a weird thing to say with a third-string quarterback, but I think there's a much better chance of the Dolphins winning a shootout than a low-scoring game, because I have more faith in the Dolphins receivers, essentially, than I do the Dolphins defense. That's what it boils down to. The Dolphins' best players are on the offensive side, so I have more faith in the Dolphins receivers being able to do their job in a big way than the Dolphins defense being able to do their job in a big way. That's really what it boils down to. I do want to add one more thing. And then we're going to get Ruthie Polinsky on here. I do want to add one more thing. So Tua was ruled out a couple of days ago. And I've seen on social media a lot the last couple of days where you'll get and we know the narrative on television, you know, what are the Dolphins going to do in the offseason? I don't know what they're going to do in the offseason, but I do think they need to consider other options at quarterback. Is that Jimmy Garoppolo? Is that Derek Carr? You got the Tom Brady stuff going on out there. I do think they need to consider other options, which really sucks. But that's unfortunately the reality. But what we've seen like on social media last couple of days, or look, what I've seen on social media last couple of days with Dolphins fans, you get a lot of Dolphin fans who are, I just want Tua to be okay. And that's really weird to me. Saying to yourself, ZASLOW, why is that weird? Why shouldn't Dolphin fans want Tua to be okay? It's weird to me for a couple reasons. The first part that it's weird to me is, why do you feel the need to tell everyone that you just want Tua to be okay? Like, if you don't say that, is there this impression that your friends are going to be like, what? How come you haven't said you just want Tua to be okay? Do you not want him to be okay? Like, aren't you just a decent person if you want to? Like, isn't that what any normal, decent person would want, is for Tua to be okay? Isn't that a given? Doesn't that go without saying? So I don't understand why you have to go out there and say that you just want Tua to be okay. That's the first part. Like, I haven't made any posts, I just want Tua to be okay. Because I kind of feel like you guys out there, like, don't you assume I want him to be okay and, you know, not, like, die? Don't you know? Or don't you assume I want him to be okay and, you know, not have his brain scrambled? Doesn't it go without saying? So that's the first part. The second part that I think it's really strange and, I guess, annoying, whatever, and we'll talk to Ruthie about this as well, see if she's noticed this, but the whole I just want Tua to be okay, that's some bullshit. Like, the Dolphin fan, you don't have to, like, it's okay to be upset that Tua's out this weekend. Now, I'm not saying be upset with him or be upset with the doctors. That's stupid. But it's okay to be upset that Tua's out this weekend. It's okay to be upset that Tua can't play. This whole, you just want Tua to be okay, that's bullshit. Why would you just want Tua to be okay? I don't just want Tua to be okay. He's not my family. He's not my friend. He plays quarterback for my favorite football team. And I want Tua to be okay. That's a given. But I don't just want Tua to be okay. No. He's not my friend. I want Tua to be okay, and I want him to play football for the Dolphins, and I want them to win lots of games with Tua, and I want him to win the Dolphins a Super Bowl, and that makes me very happy. And I definitely am not going to apologize for that. Dolphin fans do not have to apologize for being upset that Tua can't play. Not mad. Dolphin fans definitely don't have to apologize for being upset that Tua can't play. And you definitely don't have to apologize if you want him to return and win you lots of games and win a Super Bowl. The whole I just want Tua to be okay? What? That's all you want. You don't want him to play and the Dolphins to win. I feel like it goes without saying that you want him to be okay, but I just want to be okay. I don't care about if he plays football anymore. What? That's crazy. He's not your family. He's not your friend. You want him to be okay because you're a decent person, and you want him to get back to playing, or I guess I should ask those people, you don't want him to get back to playing football and win lots of games for the Dolphins and make you happy? Like, that's the arrangement here. That's the unwritten agreement here. You want him to be okay. You want all your favorite players. You want everyone on your team to be healthy. And you want them to win you games and make you happy. And then they get paid lots of money. That's the arrangement. I don't just want Tua to be okay. And I'm not going to apologize for feeling that way. I want him to be okay. And I want him to play football for the Dolphins. And I want him to be really good. And I want them to win. And I want to be really happy about that. So it's been a weird thing, I feel like, over the last couple of days on social media. You just want him to be okay. What? That's it? You just want him to be okay. It's okay to want both. Dolphin fan doesn't have to apologize. And don't let the very self-righteous media tell you that, the only thing you should be concerned about is Tua's health. What? You could totally be concerned about Tua's health and also wonder, when is he coming back to play? Don't let the self-righteous media tell you otherwise. Don't let him do that.